the one, the only, Ben Sion. Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. As we begin a new Masechta today, Masechta Sotah, Daf It. Very exciting to leave Masechas Nadarim and Nazir with their short dapim. Gonna miss that, but they were a little confusing. Talk about a Sotah, a woman who leaves her husband and potentially goes with another man. Let's start from the top. Makana liishto, Reb Lezer Omer Makana al pi shnayim mamashka al pi echad al pi atzmo. The word Makana here in the Mishnah means to warn. He warns his wife. He suspects his wife is spending time with another man. Maybe she's having adultery. So, in order for the process of Sotah to take place, a Sotah is someone where we're not completely sure that she committed adultery. If we're sure that she committed adultery, then there's no halacha of Sotah. Basically, she's usher to her husband, usher to the person she was with, and they have to get divorced. However, a Sotah is something where there's Adim, or one aid, where they saw she was secluded with a man who the husband suspected and warned her not to seclude with, and she declares her innocence. They go to the Beis HaMikdash, and she drinks the Mei Sotah, and it either proves her innocent or guilty. If she's guilty, apparently it kills her. If she's innocent, then she's innocent, because it didn't kill her. So, how does this whole process start? You have to warn your wife first in order for the whole thing to take effect. Other says you have to do it. You have to warn her in front of two eidim. However, if he himself, he warns her in front of two people, but he himself sees the person he warned her with, she went into seclusion with. Even he saw it, or he didn't see it, but one aid saw it. Rabbi Shua Omer, that would be sufficient grounds to force her to go to the Beis HaMikdash and drink the Mei Sotah. Rabbi Shua Omer, Shua says you need two Eidim, not only for the Kinoi, but also for the Stira that you saw her secluded. Ketzad Makanala. What do you say to her? Omer la b'fnei shnayim, al tadabri mishploni, don't speak with this man. V'dibremo. And he witnessed her. There were witnesses that saw her speaking with him. Adayini muteras l'beisa, muteras l'chavei shumah. That doesn't create a Sotah. She's mutter to her husband. If she's married to a Kohen, she can still eat Shumah. However, she went to a private place, and either there was one aid or two aid, and she stayed in that secluded place for the amount of time it takes to be together. The Gemara will discuss how long that time is. Asura lebesa, she's asur at least temporarily to her husband. Asura lech b'truma, she can't eat truma. If the husband dies before she has a chance to drink the Mei Sotah, so she does chalitza and not yibum. The Gemara will discuss why chalitza and not yibum. She can't do yibum technically, but it could be she's asura to her husband and there's no mitzvah of yibum. The Gemara says michti. Tana min nazir solik. Mesachas Sotah after Mesachas Nazir. My Tana, the Katana Sotah. Who's the Tana that taught Sotah? Kid the Rebbe. Why did it mention Sotah after Nazir? Rebbe's teaching the time. Rebbe Omer Lama Ispaka Parshas Nazir, the Parshas Sotah. Rebbe's talking about the Torah. The Torah actually has Parshas Sotah before Parshas Nazir. Why are the two next together? You learn about the Parsha of Sotah. A lot of times, the reason a woman who committed adultery is gets drunk. She gets drunk, she goes together with another man. So therefore, you see the Sotah, the punishment that she gets. So therefore, you and encourage your wife to take Naziros. They shouldn't drink wine. But listening Sotah, but how to listen Nazir? First, light Sotah, like the Torah. The Torah mentions Sotah first, and then Nazir. Idea Tana Ksuvos, so Tana Amadis. Mesechas Seder Nashim started off the second Mesechas Ksuvos, and the seventh parak talks about Amadir. Tana Nadarim. So based on that, we taught the next Mesechas Nadarim, the same type of thing. Idea Tana Nadarim. Once we taught him Mesechta of Nadarim, Tana Nazir, the Damil Nadarim, Nazir, like we mentioned, Mesechas Nazir, is similarly, it's like Neder is an Isra on the Chefsa, on an object. Nazir is an Isra, you're creating an Isra on yourself, on your head. It's almost like you're in a Chefsa. The Damil Nadarim is similar to Nadarim. Tani Sotah to the Rebbe. And then afterwards, it connects Sotah to Nazir. Sotah is mentioned after Nazir, like Rebbe is teaching that you should be careful. If you see a Sotah, it teaches you take a nazira. So makana diavad in l'chadchila lo. Hamakana means with a hey, right? So he happened to warn his wife. L'chadchila, you're not supposed to warn your wife, because if you warn your wife, then you start the whole process of sotah. You can make her asar. Kasavar tana didan asar lakanos. The Gemara will discuss this more on Daf Gimel. Our Mishnah holds really l'chadchila, you're not supposed to start the process. You're not supposed to warn your wife. Amar Rashul Rav Yitzchak, you have a pasuk Reish Lakish b'Sotah. When Reish Lakish would learn Masechah Sotah, Amar Haki, he would start off saying, "Ein mezafkin lo la'adam isha el lefi ma'asav." A person only gets a wife according to his actions. Shenemar ki lo yinoch shevet rasha al gora al tzadikim. Rishoim don't have any part in a lot of tzadikim. Meaning a tzaddik will marry a tzaddikis, and a rasha will marry a rishat, a woman who's a rasha. Depending on how much of a tzaddik you are, so that's the type of woman you're married. It's not easy to figure out what level of a tzaddik you are and pair you with someone who's on a woman who's the same level. It's like Kriyas Yamsuf. It says Tehillim that Hashem places individuals in a house, and then He takes out people who are chained to kosharos at the right time for them. But kosher at the right time for them. Any, is this true? Is it true that it depends on your actions? Your actions determine who your spouse is going to be. 40 days before a child is born, Pascal, meaning Yitziras Avlad, a fetus is formed in 40 days. So basically, the time when the conception, right, at the time when the baby is conceived in the mother's womb. So at that time, Hashem basically declares, Hashem doesn't declare, Bas Kol Yosef Valmerius, Bas Ploni Leploni, this daughter of certain man will go to this man, Bas Ploni Leploni, Sotah Ploni Leploni. He'll get this house. It's not just about a woman, it's about getting the right house, getting the right field. Sotah Ploni Leploni. Lo kasha. So you see that it's predetermined. So the right answer is lo kasha. Hab zivug rishon, zug rishon. Hab zug shein. Zug rishon, the first pair. Hab zug shein, the second pair. Now I'm going to go with Rashi's explanation over here, which is a simple explanation, according to the article at least. The first time you get married, right, that's predetermined. Your zivug, your bashert. The first marriage you have is predetermined. The second marriage, if you get divorced or something like that, so that is lefi ma'asav. That depends on how big of a tzaddik you're. A big tzaddik, you'll get a bigger tzaddikas. If you're not such a good person, you won't get such a good person. That is kasha kriyas yam. It's hard to determine exactly, and Hashem has to determine precisely who the right person is for you. Now, this Gemara is a famous Gemara for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's probably quoted at Sheva Brachos a lot, and people talk about it and try to figure out exactly what this means, this Gemara. Does it mean that, meaning, the first part makes sense, that it's predetermined who you're going to marry, but the second part, that it's not predetermined, a zug sheni. Now, some people say zug sheni means if you get married later in life, not when you're young. Zug sheni could also mean, I've heard even one say, a gilgul. When you come back towards the gilgul, that's zug sheni. But the whole premise that zug sheni is not predetermined, it's basically, it could change. If I become a bigger tzaddik, so then HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to give me someone who's a bigger tzaddikas, right? So that thing which is not predetermined gets into the whole question of free will, right? Do we actually control the outcome of our lives? If I become a bigger tzaddik, I learn more Torah, I do more mitzvos, I have better midos, so therefore I can affect who my zug sheni will be. Is that possible? Is it possible to say that? Of course, Ian with Ben Sion, the 8-minute Ian shir I give on every daf, we'll discuss this matter about predetermination and free will. I see also in the footnote over here, they discuss this, the commentaries discuss this Gemara over here, and they even conclude over here The Be'er Sheva opines that this matter is too mysterious for the human mind to fathom to any extent before the advent of Mashiach. So, I have a really clear explanation of this Gemara. I understand these things very well. I have a different explanation of Zug Sheni based on that knowledge of this matter. So, I don't know. I have a pretty clear opinion over here, a pretty clear insight into what the Gemara is saying over here about predetermination and free will. So maybe I'm a Mashiach. All right. Gemara says, "Relezer Omer Mekanal al Pishnayim." Later says, you warn her with two people, and your mashke al pi echad, you give her with stira, right, just being secluded. One witness is good enough. When it comes, if one witness actually saw them being together, right, not just they were secluded, he saw them being together, that's enough to not drink the meso. Then she's ushered to her husband and to the bowl, and to the person she committed adultery with. Mehemet. But it's not nami. We also have a Mishnah. If a person saw that she committed adultery, you don't need to aid him. She's not shosa the Sotah. How do you know from the Torah that one aid is Neman for this? The Tana Rabbanan, the aid ain't ba. It says there's no aid. This is talking about a Sotah. B'shnayim akasim b'davar. Aid doesn't mean one witness; it means two witnesses. Maybe it means one. It says, when it comes to the testimony elsewhere in the Torah, that one witness is not good enough to testify in monetary matters. Right? Once it says the word aid, seemingly aid is singular, I would know it means echad. Why do I say echad? The reason the Torah went out of its way to say aid echad is to tell you only when it says the word echad, it means one. But if we just say aid in the singular, it would still mean two witnesses. Until the Torah explicitly tells you it's one witness. It's a trey lace, but it says aid ain't ba. There's no two witnesses not there. It implies there's one witness there. She wasn't forced, it wasn't raped. Asura, right? She committed it willingly, she committed adultery, she's asur. So you see from the pasuk that one witness is enough. At the time of the ksiv lo yakum eid echad b'ish. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? The reason is based on the pasuk lo yakum eid echad b'ish. Halav hachi, if it didn't say that, hava mina eid the sotah chadu. If I didn't have that pasuk, I would say the singular aid means one. And the pasuk would mean aid ein ba. There's no aid. There's no aids. V'afilu chad leika el b'may mitzvah. How could the pasuk say she's asur without any aid? It's the rech. No, you still would need it. Aid ein ba. Ein neman ba. Aid ein ba doesn't mean there's no witness. It means that a singular witness is not believed. So the Gemara is ein neman ba. Could we possibly think that it means that a singular witness is not believed? Vela my boy. What do you need? You must need two witnesses. Lishta kramina. You don't need anything. The pasuk doesn't have to start talking about it. To ask a davar mimamon. If you really need two witnesses, it should learn the gzera shava davar mimamon. V'ani yadana midi dehave akol eidia shava Torah. Right? Davar. It says lo yakam erecha chol davar. Dine mamonis, and it also says ervas davar, where it talks about gittin and kedushin. It says ervas davar. So it says it connects arayos, kedushin and gittin to dine mamonis. And I would have known, like just like dine mamonis, arayos also need shtei edim. So you don't need a pasuk. You still need it. It's not like a sotah shiny. You might think a sotah is different. The raglayim ladavar sharikina lav and nisara. Right? He warned her, and she's secluded. You might think one age should be enough. One age should be enough to show that she was nitma. And that's why the Torah is telling you the eight ba is a different shot. There's no two witnesses, there's one witness. Could you possibly say that one witness is not neman and she should be permitted? Meaning you need two witnesses. Torah says she wasn't taken against her will. Miklal da asura. So it implies that she's usher. She wasn't nitbasa, right? So the Gemara says itzra chsadak lamina ein neman ba ad ika trey. You might think an aid is not until there's two witnesses. But trey nami hidlo nitbasa kamash malan. Maybe the pasuk is talking about one aid is not neman, but two witnesses would be neman. But it also has to be that she's not raped. Because she's raped, she's only asur to a kohen. She's not asur to Israel kamash malan. And therefore, we need to tell me, Eid Ein Ba, right? Eid Echad has to say, normally Eid is two, except where it says Echad. And therefore, the correct reading of the Pasuk is not that one witness is not believed. Rather, Eid Ein Ba, there is not two witnesses, one witness, and that's considered good enough. Rabbi Yeshua Omer, Mekanal al Pishnayim. My time with Rabbi Yeshua. What's the reason of Rabbi Yeshua? He says you need not just two Eidim for the Kinoi, but also for the Stira. Amakra Ba. Ba v'lo bekinoi. Eid ein ba. There's no two witnesses for it. Ba, which is for the tuma, v'lo bekinoi. Ba v'lo bestira. So we darshan two things. Only for when she's nitma, if he saw her actually being together, that one witness is sufficient. But the kina and stira need two eidim. Lezer omer. Ba v'lo bekinoi. Slicha. Rab David. Slicha? אני באמצע שיר. תודה, thank you. So, Gemara says, Ba v'lo b'kinoi. He says, Ba v'lo b'kinoi. He only darshans the word Ba for the Tuma, but not the Kinoi. Kinoi needs two, but the steer would also be okay with one. Ema Ba v'lo b'stira. Why? He only chooses the darshan for one thing. Say ba v'lo b'stira. The stira, right, should need two. And the kina maybe one. Stira is kish l'tuma. Stira is compared to tuma. We know tuma, 1/8 is belief. Stira also, the chsiv, nisra v'hi nitma. It compares the two. Tuma is compared to stira. Where it says kina nami is kish l'tuma. Kina is also compared to tuma. The chsiv, v'kina is ishto v'hi nitma. He warns his wife, and she's tmeya. So you see, kina should also be the same thing as tuma. One should be sufficient there also. The Gemara says, "Hami Rapana ba." Torah said ba to say, in some cases, in one of the three things, you need two witnesses. Which would you rather say? Stira adifa shekena sarta ketuma. Stira is more comparable to tuma because it asers her, right? It doesn't aser her completely. She has to drink Sotah, but she can't be with her husband until she drinks the Sotah. Adarava kino adif. Maybe he'll say kino is better. It's more similar to tuma. Sheken ikar garam. If there's no kino, there's nothing to start with. Gemara stira kino miika. The Gemara challenges back. If there's no stira, is the kino worth anything? Vilav kino stira my mahani. The Gemara challenges back. If there's no kino, what does it help to have stira? They both depend on each other. Stira is more comparable to tuma because it's the beginning of tuma. But when they start secluding themselves, that usually leads to them being together. Masis in the Lokai Tana. Our Mishnah does not follow another Tanaic opinion. The Tanya Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mishum Rabbi Elazar. Amakana Ishta Makana al pi Echad, O al pi Atzmo, Umashkala al pi Shnayim. When he warns his wife, you can even do it with one aid, or himself. Umashkala al pi Shnayim, and the stira has to be done with two aidim. Heshivu Chamel Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. The Chamim retorted to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Ela Davar Sof. Meaning, if you allow kino to be done, just the husband himself saying, don't seclude yourself with this person, it's going to happen all the time. My time with the rest of Yehuda. I'm a kra, ba v'lo b'stira. Why is Yehuda, kino is enough with one aid? Ba comes to include stira. Stira needs two aidim. Ve'ema ba v'lo b'kino. Say, like Rabbi Lezer said, right, kino needs two aidim. Kino is kish l'tuma. Kino is compared to tuma. The chsiv, kino is ishta, v'nitma. Whereas stira nami is kish l'tuma. Stira is also compared to tuma. The chsiv, v'nitra, v'nitma. Who lakama shir stira kidei tuma hudas. And that pasuk, v'nitra, v'nitma, is not comparing the two. It's telling you that how long do they have to be secluded in order to warrant grounds to drink the Sotah, enough time that it's possible that they were together. Huda asa. Ein lo davar sof. The Chachamim retorted to Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, it's never going to end. My nihu. What does that mean? The zim the lo kani, v'amar kanai. All right. Sometimes if it's dependent on him totally, right? He says, "I warned her." That's good enough. Sometimes he won't even warn her. Then he'll see that she was together with another man, and he'll say afterwards, "I warned you," and that's not according to halacha. Hal mishatenu yeshal davar sof. It implies to what? For according to Elazar and Yeshua, right? That we don't. This problem doesn't exist. Zimnan delo istat there. Amar istat there. Sometimes, right? If stira according to Elazar 1/8 is enough, sometimes she won't actually be secluded. He'll lie. Amar Rav Yisrael bar Yosef. Amar Yochanan Afal Divrei Rav Yossi. Rav Yehuda ein lo davar sof. No, you have to amend what the Chachamim said. The Chachamim said to Rav Yochanan to Rav Yosef Yehuda. Even according to Yosef Yehuda. And certainly in our Mishnah, of course in our Mishnah, meaning according to Elazar, it's the same problem. And l'davar sof, adarabah. And where it says the opposite. The Mishnah tainu iga ikar. In our Mishnah, right, at least the kinui started off with two people. Hasam leika ikar. You're not going to start with anything. El itmar hachi itmar. If he meant to say, what he meant to say was as follows. Amar Rav Yosef bar Yosef, Rav Yochanan, Rav Yosef Yehuda, af the Mishnah tainu. They said to Rav Yosef Yehuda, "Af the Mishnah Tzenu and davar sof." Even according to our Mishnah, davar sof. Certainly according to you, Rav Yosef Yehuda, he could lie about the kinoi. And our Mishnah also in davar sof he could lie about the stira. Amar Rechinim Yisura, lo leima inish leisasei b'zman hazeh lo tistri b'hadei ploni. A man shouldn't tell his wife nowadays, "Don't seclude yourself with this man." Dilma kaimel on Rav Yosef Yehuda. It could be we hold like Rav Yosef Yehuda. The Amar kino al pi atzmo. Kino is effective even through the husband himself. Mistatra she'll become into seclusion. Veleka idna me sotah l'mivtaka. And there's no way of releasing her from the suffix by drinking the sotah. V'gasher la yilave yisura dalam. She'll be ushered dalalam. She'll usher him forever. Amar Rish Lakish maloshen kina. What is the language of kina? Right, kina means to warn. Davar amatil. Well, the Gemara first says davar amatil kina beino lebein acherem. Kina comes from lashon of jealousy, of hatred. Alma kasavar kina al pi atzmo. Rish Lakish, who says it's metal kina beino lebein acherem, he holds kina it could be al pi atzmo. He could even, like Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, he can warn himself. He can warn his wife based on his own warning. A lot of times it can happen. No one knows that he warned her. Amri mai the kama the kabadla. They're all getting angry at her. Why is she separate, secluding herself, not talking to anybody? They're going to get the rest of the world getting angry at her. I mean, other men are getting angry that she's not spending time with them. Rav Yemer Rav Shalmi Amishmei Abayam. He said a different shot. The word kino means it provokes jealousy between the husband and her. Alma kasavar kino al pishne edim, like the Mishnah, Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yeshua. It has to be done with two witnesses. V'kuli alma yadi the kanila. Everybody knows that he warned her. V'iyu the asi l'me'eved kina bahada. Right, and now she's gonna get angry at him. Right. Everyone knows that's why she's staying away from everybody else. But now the wife is upset at him because he prevented her from spending time with other men. Alma, the top of Gimel Manal, let's start Gimel Manal. Alma Gasavri, the Asr Lakanos. Right? If you hold the lashon of kinoi is hatred, right? You'd say it's Asr Lakano. You're not supposed to do this because it causes hatred. It's Asr. Sinna and kina are bad things. It's in the Torah to cause hatred. Omanda Amar Mutter Lakanos. Right? There's a man Amar who says that you're allowed to warn your wife. Ma'u Lashon Kina. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. Ain Kina El Lashon Asra. Kina doesn't mean, obviously according to everyone, Kina means warning. That's technically what it means. The question is, does it also include a language of jealousy? So according to Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, it only means to warn. V'chein hu omer v'yekan Hashem la'artzo. Hashem warned his land, talking about in Sefer Yoel that the locusts shouldn't come. That's the conclusion of today's share. Stay tuned for probably the most fundamental show you ever hear in your life, Ian with Ben Sion, where we're going to talk about predetermination and free will. You're not going to want to miss it. Ian with Ben Sion coming up next.